What's up, everybody? Eric here from Tea and Tobacco. Man, it has been a long time since I've done this. I figured what the heck, I would do a live stream. Though I did a live stream kind of watch along for AEW, but that didn't go as well as I would have hoped. Because mostly I was pretty much having to write the whole time because I was taking notes. So that didn't work very well. So I've been up to different things. We all know that YouTube is pretty adversarial to ATF content these days. So I have started a YouTube channel about wrestling, a wrestling podcast. I focus on AEW and New Japan right now. It's called That's Wrestling. But yeah, I figured, what the heck, I need to come on and hang out with you guys for a bit. Hopefully the sound is all right. What's up, Smokin' Ronnie? Nice to have you tonight. Let me bump out these. I got all types of windows open, so I need to get them all where I need them to be. Yeah, it's been a while, I know, but like I said, yeah, YouTube is very unhappy with ATF programming these days, so you know, that's how it is. Hey, what's up, James? Everybody knows James Patton, I would assume. He, of course, is a longtime YouTube stay, or a mainstay of YouTube, especially in the pipes and cigar community. Though these days, he's more of a sleeping... He helps you go to sleep, and then he helps you wake up. So he reviews sleep stuff and then coffee. These days, for the most part. Nice to have James hanging around. He's pretty much one of the only guys that I talk to that's is a YouTuber. We probably message more than more than we should, or I feel like we message a lot. But James is a cool guy. If you don't know his channel, what is your channel right now? Just James Patton? AM to PM. Go to spiritedsmoke.com. Why? Is there something special there? I have not heard of spiritedsmoke.com. So somebody in the chat room, in my Discord server, let me drop that in the chat if people are not on the Discord server. But one of them from it was wondering about Gurkha tobaccos, and I had not had any of the Gurkha tobaccos, but I do have them in inventory. I just haven't smoked any. So I figured, hey, why don't I open one of those up today, and we'll give them a shot. And where the heck is the invite thing? Hidden, blah, blah, blah. No, I want never expire, no limit, generate my link here. All right. So I'm going to drop, I have a Discord server that people are in all the time. So you can go check that out as well. I just dropped that in the chat, and let me add it to the, into the description of this video, and we can hang out. I'm in there pretty much all the time on chat, and then, you know, I get in there on voice sometimes as well, because, you know, I can. Stay on page here. Go to the live. Okay. So that should be in there. And yeah, just kind of chilling. James got a new Sony A6 6400, blown away. Yeah, that's a pretty sweet camera. I haven't updated just because I don't have the cash at the moment to update, and YouTube isn't pulling in the funds that it used to, so I don't have any good reason to, you know, invest at the moment. What's up, Desert Pine Piper, which is Jim from Vegas. We got VCR 12 in here. Hey, what's up? And then we have Smokin' Ronnie as well. All right, so the Gurkha has 3 different pipe blends right now. They're all made by Sutliff. They came out a few years ago. I don't know if I have a date on this one. I'll have to look up on my spreadsheet when I actually got this one. So this one is called Rare Breed. That was the one that Tommy from the Discord wanted to check out. So I figured, hey, I might as well pop it open and see what I like. And he said Rare Breed was the one he was most interested in out of the 3. It is, actually, it says right on the bottom, so let me cap this real quick. So it is looks like an American blend. It's Red Virginia, Turkish, Burley, Latakia, and Perique. So it's an American style blend right there. Ooh. I actually grabbed 2 pipes because I didn't know how strong the Latakia was going to be on this one. Because I have 1 rotation of Latakia based blends. You can see that right there. It's just a ribbon cut. Ooh, it is nice and smoky, but it has a nice hit of the Perique, kind of a plum flavor. So yeah, is Noah actually Tommy in Discord? So I'm going to go with a. It's got enough Latakia in it for me to go with one of my pipes in the Latakia rotation. Wasn't sure if it was going to be super weak, and I'd use a pipe from my Virginia Vapor. Gotta stick a little bit on here because I am a clincher, and I don't want to break my teeth or gnaw up the end of the stem here. This is a Hearth and Home pipe that I got. So I think International Pipe Smoking Day 2016, Pipes and Cigars had a big problem with shipping and their ordering system, because they were actually changing ordering systems right at the time. And my order never got shipped. So when I contacted them, they made up for it by, 1, sending me a pipe for free, as well as a couple more tobaccos that I did not order. So they made good on the mess up. But yeah, let's I'm actually going to take some of this out to let it dry. It is a little moist, and I tend to like my tobaccos more on the moist side anyways, but this might be just a little too much. So I'm going to take out just a little bit and set it on the lid here and let it dry just a little bit. But for the most part, for storage and for aging, it's at the perfect moisture level. Just for smoking, it is a little bit much. I'll transfer this to a jar afterwards, but I will just close that up for now. What's up, Lincolns? Yeah. So anything going on with you guys? I know it's been a while since I've been here. For those who have just joined, I have not been making a ton of content because YouTube is very anti-ATF content these days. So alcohol, tobacco, firearms, they're not having tons of fun. So I've been working on a professional wrestling channel. Not anything huge at the moment. I just been doing like a podcast and doing it live on YouTube and then uploading it to Spreaker. So doing a podcast and then also doing it on YouTube. I probably need to start doing a little bit more on YouTube, making some short videos, making news updates and stuff like that. But for anybody who happens to like professional wrestling, that is what I have been doing. And right now I just follow AEW and New Japan, as well as a little bit of kind of what's going on in the non-WWE world, like Impact, and a little bit of MLW, but I don't know a whole lot about MLW and Ring of Honor. I used to watch a lot of Ring of Honor, but they've really gone to hell since AEW came in, because most of the good talent is now in AEW. Let's see, grab my pipe here. I'm also, as you can see in the bottom corner, that the bottom right hand corner, I have a pot of tea. It is Da Hong Pao. I get it from the Dragon Tea House. I don't buy like the super expensive Da Hong Pao because I drink so much of it. I'd go broke in the amount I drink. I mean, I drink at least one of these pots a day. It could push two. I also make iced tea out of it as well. So, Lincoln's. Oh, yeah. Lincoln's is talking about NWA Power. I have watched a few of them. I don't know. It hasn't drawn me in a ton yet, but there's been so much, especially like New Japan Super Junior Tag League. There were so many things to watch that's like, oh, I don't want to watch another hour of wrestling. So I'll probably get to it. How bad is ROH? Well, at least the interest in ROH has died horribly. They had their last pay-per-view, they had a whopping 800 buys total across all platforms. So that is horrible considering early in this year. Well, I mean, 800 is bad, but even the number that they did earlier in the year, which was just 3,500 on one of the pay-per-views in June, I think. I mean, 3,500 down to 800. That's a massive drop, even though we are talking about relatively small numbers comparatively to, say, AEW, who's got about 100,000 for each of theirs. And that Matt Taven was a champ, yeah. Like I haven't followed them since the Super Show. That was really the last time I watched anything ROH was the New Japan ROH Super Show. TNA Impact was never that bad. I don't know what their numbers have been as far as, well, TNA Impact, I mean, their TV was down to like 10,000 people. And that was even streamed live on Twitch for free. So they were down to like 10,000 people. I don't know what they've done on Access. I haven't checked. And since it's not, I don't think Access is one of the channels that they do ratings for. So those numbers would actually have to come from Access than Nielsen, but I'm not 100% sure on that. There's some pretty big bits in this tobacco. So it's got a mix of like ribbon cut as well as kind of some cross cutting, but kind of large pieces of cross cut. Chris Hall, what's up? Nice of you to join. Not whole tons going on. Just figured I'd jump online and see what everybody was up to since I haven't been on this channel for a while. This is going to take another light in a minute. Yeah, these pipe tools, they're like $2 on eBay, and I bought like 5 of them because, of course, you always lose pipe tools. I'm not going to spend a ton on pipe tools because I always lose them. Question, do I ever use a Zippo to light pipes or cigars? No, I don't. I do have a Zippo, but it's a case. It's just the Zippo case, and I've replaced it with a Thunderbird lighters. So they're both butane. One of them is a torch and soft flame combo, and then the other one is their pipe insert. So I don't use the inserts, the original Zippo inserts, but I just use the who makes those? Vector. Vector, I think, makes the Thunderbird Zippo inserts. So they're butane inserts, and they fit right into Zippos. If you do happen to get them, I would. They're a very tight fit, and they can be hard to get out. So what I have done, I put a little bit of olive oil and use that as lubricant. So they come out when I want to refill them. Because they can be very, very tight in there, and you don't want to pull them so hard that you end up ripping the insert apart. I don't know where they are right now. I would show you if I knew where they were. They might be out in the bedroom. Chris Hall, what is my go-to blend? Oh, man. That's a tough question. I think if I can't decide and don't have something in mind that I want, my usual go-tos are pretty much always going to be English blends, and then it's usually either going to be Lancer slices, pirate cake. Those are kind of going to be my two go-tos for the most part. What else is really... And, of course, like, my favorite is Penzance, but, you can only go through too much of that before you, are feeling bad about smoking so much good stuff. Does a butane torch flame burn piped? Yeah, you don't want to use the torch flame. So it's just a butane. It's a regular soft flame, like a Bic lighter. So I don't know anybody who would use a torch for pipes because, yes, you would just kind of kill your pipe that way. And I like all my pipes, and some of them are pretty expensive, so I don't want to destroy them. I pretty much, if I can, I'm going to use matches because they burn significantly cooler than a soft flame lighter. And then if I can't use just matches because, say, I'm driving or something, obviously it's a bit hard to use matches while you're driving, then I will use, I have a Zycar resource. It's actually right here. I got a Zycar resource, so it has the nice kind of bent over flame, and it also has pipe tools. It has a pipe tool with a tamper knife and a nail. So this is kind of my travel. If I'm traveling, this will be what I light everything with. Chris Baker says, you smoke a pipe like you smoke brisket. Slow and low. Yes, exactly. That's exactly the way to do it. What is a good smoke during a poker game? Cigars are going to be good. Are going to be my choice during a poker game. I probably wouldn't go with anything super heavy. I go with probably a nice giant Romeo e Julieta. Was it 1845 or something like that, or the vintage? Those would be probably my choice for a nice big like Churchill, like 7 by 56 type size. Yeah, that's what I would do for a poker game. I learned the hard way using a torch lighter. Use it for convenience, but smokes way too hot. Yeah, so there's a massive difference in heat. Like Matches burn at roughly about 800 degrees. You only need 600 degrees to light to get tobacco to light. So right there, you're pretty much already in range. Soft flame butane is something like 1200 degrees Fahrenheit, and then torch is well over 2000. So that is why you want to use matches as much as possible, because they are going to be the lowest temperature flame that you're going to get. If you do use like a lighter, I have a video on this, but really what you want to do is you want to hold the flame nice and high above. The flame doesn't actually have to touch the tobacco. You just need enough of the heat to light it. So the flame didn't actually touch the tobacco. You just bring it as close as possible, and then it will ignite off the heat. That is the best way to keep from getting the top of the tobacco too hot. And I always see people on YouTube putting the flame way down, completely on top of the tobacco, sucking the flame right through the tobacco. You get some burnt flavors that way. So just hold it nice and high, and just bring it as close you don't want the flame touching it from the lighter because it's going to be too hot. So you just bring it close enough that it actually starts igniting when you're drawing on it. So it can be a little farther away. I think the closest the flame just got right there was probably about 1/4 of an inch before it caught fire. So what are your opinions about little cigars? Not the super cheap stuff like Black and Mild, but more like the domain of Captain Black and Al Capone. You mean like the ones that are basically filtered cigarettes? Are those the ones you're talking about? Because those are the only ones I really know from Captain Black. But as far as little cigars, I don't smoke anything that is machine rolled. So pretty much all, there's plenty of small hand rolls out there. I mean, all the big brands have small hand rolls. Macanudo has the Ashcots. If you do get one thing about, is it Macanudo that has the Ashcots, or are they called the Cafe? Something like that. Anyways, the cigarillos from Macanudo are really good, but I would suggest letting them rest for about a year before you smoke them, because usually a lot of the little cigars, those tend to be the type that turn over the most, especially depending where you're going to be buying them. But I think those actually tend to turn over the most, so they tend to be a little bit too young. For the Macanudos, I would let them sit in a humidor for about a year before you go after them, and then they're really good. When they're really too young, they're a little bit too harsh. Acid makes the C notes, yep. And then the Ashton makes really nice cigarillos. Those are excellent. The Maduro ones are really nice. But you have a ton of the regular brands out there that make handmade cigarillos that are really excellent. So I don't use any of the machine rolled stuff. Let's see. Was that Nerdeek? Says, I have a Zippo and with a regular pipe insert that I use for my pipes and cigars. I find a slight taste difference is negligible. Yeah, I think I tend to have a pretty sensitive palate for the most part, so I can usually taste if it's burnt, or especially if it's like a lighter fluid based. Also, like, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but when I light my pipe with a match, I always break off the head after it's lit, because I can taste, even if I let it burn completely off, I can still taste the sulfur coming through. So I just break off the head so I don't get those flavors. But yeah, I mean, I can taste kind of a lot of that stuff. So yeah. Do you have a tea bowl collection? You mean like a Gaiwan collection? Um, I pretty much just have one that I use the most. I tend not to buy expensive ones because they always end up breaking. So I've had plenty over the years. I am down to like one at the moment because like my cat knocked one off the shelf, and then others just happen to die through random clumsiness. So I tend not to buy expensive stuff that can break because most likely it's going to get broken in my house. So right now I just have one complete Gaiwan, and then I have a bunch of pieces everywhere. Lycan says I still need to send you the Swamp Thang cigar. Yeah, I I haven't checked my PO box in a while, but I don't think anybody's sent anything. I heard Shamrock is back in Impact, not AEW. I saw he faced Joey Ryan, which is pretty funny. I wasn't sure where Joey Ryan was going to go. He doesn't really fit in AEW. I mean, Orange Cassidy is about as weird as you can get in AEW, but they're using him right in AEW. Like, people aren't selling his offense. Or not selling his sloth offense. I'm trying to get a handle on this one. I mean, it's good. There's nothing that's off-putting about it. I can put it that way, at least so far. Um, Sea Smoke Pipe says, just wondering, I make pottery as well as pipes. What type of teas do you prefer? Oh man, I am all over the place. For the most part, it's going to be rock oolongs, and it's mostly going to be ripe pu'ers, or some very old raw pu'ers, or some super, super young pu'ers. Those are going to be my most go-to. I also like aged white tea. And, I'll drink Shou Mai all day because it's good. But I am all over the place, just black teas and various oolongs. I haven't been doing a lot of Gong Fu brewing just because, it was summer and I don't drink a whole lot of hot tea during the summer. I usually drink a lot of iced tea, which ends up being Da Hong Pao that I make into iced tea. And if you weren't here earlier, I get it from Dragon Tea House. I get the stuff that's about $30 a pound, not the stuff that's like $100 a pound. Because I'm just going to make it into iced tea anyway, so. Smokin' Ronnie says, I thought AEW was Impact. No, Impact used to be TNA. AEW, All Elite Wrestling, is a new promotion that just started this year. Impact has been around since, I believe, 2002. AEW just barely started this year. It's owned by the guy one of the guys who owns the Jacksonville Jaguars football team. They also own a soccer team over in Europe as well. So there's at least some money behind them this time. What was the best tea to use for making iced tea / sweet tea? I couldn't tell you on the sweet tea because I don't make sweet tea. As far as what I always end up making for iced, it's going to be Da Hong Pao Oolong because it really has a nice balance of sweetness and bitterness. So it pretty much covers both worlds. It's not like overly bitter and it's not overly sweet. And you can brew the crap out of it and it doesn't go bitter on you. So Da Hong Pao is the my go-to for iced tea, and like right here I have it in my pot and it's actually still in the basket. Usually for most teas I would yank it after it's done brewing, but you can overbrew the crap out of this and it still tastes good. So that is kind of why it's my go-to. What I actually have started doing, I take a 64-ounce mason jar, I put 5 grams of Da Hong Pao in it, fill that up with boiling water and just let it sit. I probably let it sit on the counter for about an hour, and then I'll throw it in the refrigerator overnight. And at that point, you got like a half gallon of tea, and especially because you only have to use 5 grams of it because you're just going to overbrew it, and it tastes great. So that is what I'd use for my iced tea. You can put some sweetener into it if you need it to be a little sweeter, but I like it just how it is, and as it's kind of my go-to when I'm smoking as well, because like I said, it's got a nice balance of bitterness and sweetness. So if you're smoking like a really earthy cigar, then it kind of brings out those flavors and then it makes the tea taste sweet. Or if you have a really sweet cigar, then it's going to bring out those sweet notes, and then the tea will be kind of a little bit of a bitter palate cleanser. So that's kind of why I like it. Using Lipton. Oh man, there are plenty of better options that are still cheap. Are there any overrated teas or tobacco? I'm gonna say for the most part, Cuban cigars are overrated. It's just you can't get them in the U.S. or for the most part, like it's been a little looser in recent years, though it looks like they're clamping back down on the embargo a little bit. But considering that all the factories are state owned, then you don't have the market incentive to have to make great cigars, and for the farmers and whatnot, the government takes like 90% of their crop. So it's kind of a whole bunch of crap. So I don't know the name of it right now, but I did do a review of it. It was a black tea brick that I bought from Dragon Tea House. It was like 250 grams for like $12, something like that. That is an excellent option. There are it's black tea of Samao from Unan Sourcing. It's cheap and it's really, really good. It has a really dark chocolate flavor, and it's not that expensive, and it ages. It holds up to age pretty well. So, as the seasons pass, they have previous year's harvests, and they keep lowering the price. So even if you pick up, say, the black tea of Samao, the 2017 harvest, it'll still be really good because I have some from 2015. It still tastes great. I also just kind of explained why communism doesn't work. Yeah, if the government takes all your stuff, you're kind of SOL. Gold Peak Peach is a guilty pleasure of mine. Yeah, there are some bottled sweet teas that I will drink, but there's not many of them. I think Pure Leaf has like an Asian pear that is drinkable. And if I'm really feeling something like super sweet, I will drink like an Arizona green tea or something. But for the most part, it's pretty rare. Let me see if I can find that name of that tea brick that I had got. It was super cheap. Like I said, I think it was either a 250 grams or maybe even a 400. I can't totally remember. But Dragon Tea House is definitely a place to go. They have free shipping to the U.S., So even if you just want to buy like one thing for like $10, it's still free shipping. They are in China, so they will ship pretty much everywhere. Do I ever go to tea houses? There aren't really any around here that are actually like Asian tea houses. There's some like British style tea houses, so they have like finger foods and little tea cakes and stuff. But I'm not really into the British style of drinking tea, so I don't tend to go too many because that's pretty much it. Let's see. Let's check out. I think I bought it in 2018. I'm going through my past purchases here from Dragon Tea House. I'm seeing if they still have the tea. Ooh, they still do have the tea brick. Oh, it's up in price a little bit. It is the 400-year ancient tree golden bud Jianhong gold black tea brick. It's 250 grams. I will drop it out here in the chat for those who are actually interested, but it's gone up in price a little bit. It's $20 for 250 grams, but it is excellent. It is not bad. You can I will brew it Gong Fu style, and I can easily get like 10 infusions out of it. You can brew quite a lot out of it. It's definitely very good in the morning as like the first thing in the morning. Also, for other hot teas and inexpensive, the Monghai V93 ripe pour is actually really good, and you can get it for about $10 for 100-gram cake. I'll have to check here. It's been a while since I haven't bought tea in quite a while because I have so much of it sitting around right now. But also, I wonder if they still have this. Ooh, they still have some. So Dragon Tea House now has some Monghai Dei Golden Needle White Lotus Ripe Pour from 2013. It tastes so good, but it is $130 for 357 grams. So it's a little bit higher in the price range, but it is excellent. There's some cheaper options that are better than Lipton. I guess it depends how cheap do you consider cheap. That would kind of throw a wrench into things, because what I consider cheap tea might not be as cheap as you. Like, are we talking like $30 a pound? Are we talking $60 a pound? Are we talking $10 a pound? You probably won't find a whole lot in the $10 a pound range. And for like, if you're talking about like Lipton bags or something, then if it's 20 bags, it's probably like a gram and a half per bag. So you're already like overpaying. 20 bags, like $3 for 20 bags or something like that. I mean, that's still way overpriced because you're probably looking at like 30 grams. So what's that work out to? 10 cents a gram, something like that, for floor sweepings. The cheapest that I would consider decent. All right, let me find something on here. All right, so Dragon Tea House, I'm looking right here. So this is about $36 a pound, or $10 for 100 grams. So that works out to about the same price as Lipton. So they have some Dianhong Supreme from Yunnan. It's a black tea. This is going to be way better, and it is about the same price if you are going by weight, because that's 100 grams, and probably a box of 20 Lipton bags is probably, like I said, probably about 30 grams. So if you're paying about $3 for a box, then you're going to be paying about the same price here for 100. So it's going to work out. This is $11 for 100 grams. So you're looking at 11 cents a gram versus 10 cents a gram for the Lipton. So you can definitely upgrade for basically the same price. You just have to get it from China, and it could take a couple weeks for shipping, but I've never really had much of a issue. With hearing no context about prices in grams, you'd think I was talking about drugs. Nope, I'm not. Since everybody else in the world tends to use the metric system, and since all the tea is actually coming from China, they're going to be measuring in metric. But yeah, what I just posted in the Dianhong, that's going to be a much higher quality than the Lipton that you're drinking, and it's exactly the same price per gram, pretty much. There are a bunch of other ones. Any of the Dianhong from that seller is going to be good. There's also, like I said, I have the Dahong Pao. It's going to be a little bit more expensive, but it's still going to be relatively cheap. Actually, if you buy it by the pound like I do, it's even cheaper than the Lipton, because it's 500 grams for like $32 or something. So that works out to what, like 7 cents a gram or something, compared to the 10 cents a gram for Lipton, and it's extremely higher quality. And then they have some Bai Mudan white tea, excellent, again, 300 gram cake for $30. So again, 10 cents a gram, just like the Lipton, and it's going to be significantly better. So there's a lot out there. Has Trump's tariffs affected? No, there's no tariffs on tea. The tariffs didn't hit tea. There's basically no one in the U.S. that grows tea, so there's no tariff on it, because there's no competing with any U.S. growers. There's a little bit grown in like the Carolinas, and there's a little bit grown in California, but it's so little that it definitely, you don't even know that. I didn't even know until recently that there was some being grown in North Carolina. So it's not a lot. So nope, no tariffs on tea. That tends to be the case for every country, because nobody else produces tea, other than there's some grown in South America, in like Colombia and Brazil. But for the most part, it's all grown in China, Japan, and India. And then there is a little bit in Sri Lanka and Indonesia and whatnot. But China, Japan, and India are going to be the main producers. So it's not like England is growing their own tea, so they don't have tariffs and whatnot. So it's mostly, tariffs are usually going to be mostly on products that are also made within the country. Nobody makes tea in the U.S. or Canada or stuff like that, so they're not going to put tariffs on something that there's no competition inside the United States. No, I have not tried the Carolina tea. I have not bought any yet. I can't even remember like the company that makes it. Let's see what else is going on. Have I tried the rebrandings of Peterson's? No, I haven't. So are they really came? So the Petersons are the exact same recipes that Dunhill was prior to going off the market, and they're still being made by the Scandinavian Tobacco Group. So it's exactly the same blend from exactly the same manufacturer. So it should be exactly the same as they were prior to going off the market. Obviously, Dunhill over the years has changed producers multiple times, but the last one was Scandinavian Tobacco Group, and they are the ones who are still making it for Peterson with the exact same recipes. I really like Temple of Heaven special gunpowder green tea, $12 a kilo. Wow, that's a super cheap. I don't know much about tea, but I really enjoy that one with a splash of honey. Curious on your thoughts on that tea. Gunpowder in general, I'm not a huge fan of. I'm not a huge fan of many green teas. I find most of them too bitter, but it really depends. But for the most part, gunpowder is usually way on the bitter side for me, so I tend not to drink it. What's the difference between Asian and British tea, if any? Nothing per se. Obviously, it's all grown still in India and China, the stuff that they drink in Britain. But for the most part, the quality isn't that great. It's pretty much all black tea for the most part, which what you consider a British tea is going to be, it's going to be broken pieces. It's usually going to be tips though, so it is going to be at least decent leaf material, but a lot of it is machine picked, so you're never going to have like whole leaf. It's always going to be, small broken pieces, which release a lot more tannins and make it more bitter. But it is also oxidized to hell, so they kind of cover up any damage to the leaves because they are oxidizing it fully. So it's going to turn black, and you can't tell that there was damage to the leaves. Plus, like I said, it's going to be small bits, so it's going to be hard to tell because it's not the whole leaf anyways. Tim says, "Me too. That's why I like honey." Yeah, there are plenty of teas out there that don't require honey, so those are tends to be what I drink. If you like kind of that flavor, but it is too bitter, I would definitely try some aged white tea, like Bai Mu Dan aged white tea. Excellent. Like I said, you can get that from Dragon Tea House. You can get a 350-gram cake for $30 or whatever. It is excellent, and you don't need any sweetener for that because it is nice and naturally sweet. There are a bunch of other ones too. Especially like Iwu oolongs are going to be kind of in that realm too. They're going to be a little bit more on the sweeter side. It does depend, and except for the Dan songs. If you're drinking a Dan song, then they're going to range all over the place. But for the most part, rock oolongs or Wu Yi oolongs are going to be a little bit more on the sweeter side. At least that's what I've found so far. Could you smoke tea? I don't know. Maybe. Probably. I don't see why you couldn't. I haven't. I rather drink it since that's what it's supposed for. So many choices and limited budget. Yeah, I know. I'm with you. I definitely buy too much. The good thing about tea and tobacco and cigars is it will all last forever as long as you store it correctly. Well, some teas like fresh green teas will not. You want to drink those right away, but rock oolongs will age all right, and then pu'ers are meant for aging, and then white teas will age just fine for the most part. They will develop a completely different flavor profile from when they're fresh. So, like, I have some white tea that I got when it was fresh. It was picked, a couple months prior to me getting it. It was nice and fruity and light, and now it has developed more of an earthy characteristic. Now that's like 6 years old, but it's still good. Green tea pretty much just goes blah after about a year or so. But yeah, ripe pu'ers, you can store them pretty much forever. I mean, some consider raw pu'ers. Raw pu'ers, are considered good at 50 years old, so you can pretty much store them indefinitely. Storage for pu'er is basically exactly the same as cigars. 70 degrees Fahrenheit at 70% relative humidity, and you just store them the same. I happen to use a cooler to store my pu'er, and then I have a little hygrometer in there as well. I will actually run it in cycles because the tea stored in China is actually just stored in the shops, and the natural environment goes up and down throughout the year. So I kind of let in the summer. I actually end up doing it a little bit in reverse. So in the summer, I'll let it drop in relative humidity because it's going to be warmer. I just don't want any mold. And then in winter, I will pop the humidity back up and let it fall off throughout the air again. So I kind of go through a little bit of a high-low period, just like it naturally does in China. So I get a little kind of the mimic the aging. Uh, you could drink tobacco, but you get very sick very fast. I mean, people spit chewing tobacco for a reason. If you swallow that, you are going to get sick very quickly. So, no, technically, well, I mean, you can drink it, but it's going to make you sick pretty fast. Ruby Sipper is a great tea choice. I have never heard of Ruby Sipper. Is that the brand name? I'll have to look it up just after I light this. Tommy Dreamer did it once. Yes, he drank the Undertaker's tobacco spit. Yes, I remember that. Ruby Sipper. All right, I'm going to have to look this up. Hold on. No, I did not spell it wrong. Like, do you mean Ruby Slipper? No, I do not. Did I spell it wrong? I don't see it. Shoot me shoot a link to it because it doesn't seem to show up. Ruby Sipper. I end up getting I get the Ruby Slipper Cafe. Even if it doesn't ask, do you mean? No, that is not. I do actually mean Ruby Sipper tea. Maybe I can find it that way. Oh, okay. It's actually not a tea. It's apple, blood orange, hibiscus, papaya, rosehip, and tangerine. Yeah, so it's not technically a true tea. Appreciate the suggestions, and the journey continues. Yeah, it never ends. I mean, there are thousands of teas out there that are produced every year. It's nice now, especially with like the internet, because you can get teas from all over the world very easily. Just like even like Unan Sourcing, you can go there and they have extremely small batch harvests. Like they will, they'll go to a small farmer that has an acre or two, and they'll produce, a couple pounds of a tea for the year and sell it. So it's pretty nice now. You can have a lot of like boutique teas, and then of course in China there's a lot of wild tea that is produced. That's usually going to be like a pu'er. They're going to be wild grown trees that have were planted hundreds of years ago and have just gone wild. So you get like the gushu, which is just really large leaf material. I mean, you'll have leaves the size of my hand in some of those cakes. Japanese tea suggestions. I don't drink a ton of Japanese tea. Sencha is good. It is a fresh green tea, but it tends to be it tends not to be as bitter, but also you want to brew it much cooler. You want to go like 160 degrees or so. Yeah, probably like 160 degrees for the water instead of like boiling. I found that if you end up using water that's too hot, it just tastes like spinach water. Sencha, and then there's hojicha, which is actually a roasted tea that's pretty good. Those are really the only two Japanese teas that I've had, but I haven't had either of them in years. Over a Pipe says, I watch more of your tobacco content than tea, but from being a part of the YTPC, I'm continually drawn to more coffees and teas. Yeah, I think it's very similar because, it's all, pipes are really kind of a flavor experience thing, and so is tea. And just like with tobacco, it's all the same leaf, just grown in different places and slightly different varieties. Tea is exactly the same way. Pretty much all tea is made from the same exact species. It's just grown in different places. The trees are different ages. It's processed different. So, off the same plant, you can have all types of different teas just on whether you pick just the bud, whether you're picking the bud in the first two leaves, whether you're air drying it in the sun, whether you're pan frying it right away to make fresh green tea, whether you're bruising it to let it oxidize and then stopping that to make oolong tea, or letting it oxidize fully to make black tea. So just off of one plant, you can come away with a ton of different types of tea. And that's how some of the teas are actually made. They go through and they pick all the buds to make one type of tea, and then they come through and pick like the first two leaves after that and make another type of tea, and then they'll come through and pick the leaves 3 and 4 and put it in a different tea. So it really depends on what they want to do, but depending on how old the leaf is and how they process it, you can have a bazillion different types of tea off the exact same tree. It just depends on how you want to process it and when you pick it. Have I ever thought about writing a book? Yeah, but not on this stuff. There's so many books out there already that pretty much have covered most of this stuff that I don't think I could really add anything new to the conversation. So what else is going on out there? Let's see. I don't even know how many people are watching right now because I am not looking at that screen. Looks like 7 people are watching right now. Cool. Do tell what? I'm not sure what you're asking. That I want to write a book, but it's not about this stuff. You never know. I never have time to do this type of stuff. That like I'd like to put together a fictional podcast, but like basically have to write it out in book form first and then convert it into like a script or whatever and do like a fictional crime story. I love like true crime podcasts and stuff, and I like crime TV shows and whatnot. I've actually been reading the Bosch series that the Amazon show is based off of, so I've been reading that. And then I like that type of stuff. I don't know if I could actually end up writing something like that. I have some ideas for a story. I just haven't had time to put them down and actually work it out. AEW versus New Japan Dream matches. Oh man, I don't even. I'm trying to think because so many of the Dream matches have already been done because a lot of the people in AEW have been in New Japan. So obviously Omega Okada is always going to be a good match. And we're about to have Jericho Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom. So that's there. I'm trying to think who hasn't been in New Japan that I want to see face somebody in New Japan. I mean, even Moxley was over there for the entire G1, so he pretty much saw most of those. Oh man, who else is there? All right, I'm gonna say Luchasaurus versus Will Ospreay would be freaking sweet. I'm sure they've actually probably met somewhere. Orange Cassidy versus Naito. I would like to see Orange Cassidy versus Yano because that would be a funny match. But, or actually, I'd rather see Orange Cassidy and Taguchi because he was hilarious tagging with Rocky Romero for the Super Junior Tag League this year. All of the matches were hilarious. And really well done. So I think Orange Cassidy and either Yano or Taguchi would be comedy gold. Another match, I don't think I've ever seen it happen, even though that they were in New Japan. I'd like to see like Matt Jackson one-on-one with, say, Will Ospreay. That would be cool. Trying to think who else. I don't know who else I'd want to see. I guess Darby Allin versus Hiromu Takahashi. That would be pretty good. And as far as Suzuki, I'd like to see Suzuki Goon. What, the entire team of Suzuki Goon? Or you mean Minoru Suzuki? Suzuki Goon is a faction, and there's a lot of people in it. Minoru Suzuki against Moxley. Did that happen at the G1? I can't remember. It all blended because there's so much of it. But Suzuki versus Moxley would be awesome. Suzuki versus Jimmy Havoc. That would be nuts. Nerdeek, just want to say I appreciate all the advice. I'm fairly new to tobacco, so it's really helpful. Yeah, no problem. If you have any other questions, let me know. Have I ever tried the Borkum Riff or whatever it's called? Tobaccos? No. I tend to stay away from most aromatics, especially anything that's basically just pure Cavendish that's flavored. I'm just not a fan of those, so I tend not to smoke them. I will smoke them to review on the channel. But a lot of them I don't come back to. I'm just not interested in them for the most part. I thought Gun was the main guy. No, Minoru Suzuki is the leader of Suzuki Gun. So Suzuki Gun is a faction just like Chaos or Bullet Club. So Minoru Suzuki is the leader of Suzuki Gun. Your New Japan knowledge is lacking. Dude, like, New Japan World is like $9.70 or something. And they have so much content. It's insane. And they've been doing a lot more stuff with English commentary, so it's a lot easier to follow now. But even watching it in Japanese isn't a big deal. Who's the faction from Mexico? In New Japan, it's Los Los Ingobernables de Japón, which is LIJ. It's a lot easier just to say LIJ. That is Naito's faction. Because in Mexico, there is Los Ingobernables, which is the Ungovernables. And then there's the De Japón faction, which is Naito's faction, which he brought over from Mexico when he came back to New Japan. So LIJ is the faction that you were thinking of. That is headed up by Naito. If there's an Xbox app, I'll download it. I'm not sure if there's an Xbox app. There's definitely a Amazon Fire app. And of course, you can just watch it in a browser. So I don't know. I'm guessing Xbox has a browser. So you can actually probably just watch it in the browser of Xbox. As far as the app goes, the Fire app, the Amazon Fire app for New Japan is horrendous. It's horrible to navigate. The website's way easier to navigate. So I usually just watch it on my computer because it is kind of a pain to navigate. I really hope they put a little bit more money into the app, but time will tell, I guess, on that one. But I'm pretty sure there's a Fire app and a Roku app. And then there's Android and iOS apps. Xbox does have a browser. It's how I watch AEW pay-per-views. Yeah, so you can probably watch New Japan. Just New Japan, njpwworld.com. Kevin Kelly does a really good job on commentary too. He really brings you up to date on everything. So even if you've missed some shows, he definitely covers backstory pretty much before every match, either before or during every match. So you can really get caught up. They tend to have a guy named Chris Charlton on the commentary crew too. He does the Japanese to English translations. If somebody like cuts a promo in the ring, he'll translate on the fly. So the two of them do a really good job on helping English viewers get kind of caught up. But even the shows that have no English on them and just listening to it in Japanese, it's great because the Japanese announcers are basically like Mauro Ranallo, and they'll just by the tone, you can tell that they're like super excited or super mad or whatever. So it's easy just to at least follow the emotion, even if you don't understand what they're saying. And of course, they'll use a ton of English words that you'll hear throughout it. So you'll hear suplex and stuff like that in the commentary. Didn't Kevin come back to Impact recently? Not that I know of. I haven't seen Impact, but I don't think he might have. But I don't know. I don't know what New Japan's I don't know what New Japan's relationship is with Impact. Probably pretty bad, considering that they were really crappy to Okada when he was over here. And Kevin Kelly is pretty much the best announcer right now, I think. Yes, we have, JR and Tony and Excalibur on AEW, but I think Kevin Kelly is the currently the best commentator. I'm kind of glad he didn't go to AEW because that would really suck to lose him on New Japan's commentary. What's in the pipe? Because somebody asked me in the Discord channel. You can see it in the description of this video. But it is a Gurkha rare breed. Somebody in the Discord channel asked earlier today if I had tried any of the Gurkha blends, which I had not. But I do have all three of them on hand. and I asked which one he'd want to see the most, and he said rare breed. So I popped this tin before I actually at the beginning of this video. I hadn't even popped it yet, so I popped it on the video, and it's pretty good. It's an American style blend. It is Red Virginia, Turkish, Burley, Latakia, and Perique. It's really good. There's no off-putting flavors or anything. So I've been drinking tea too, so I haven't been totally. I can't really rely on the flavor profile I'm getting because it's paired right now. So there's obviously influence between the two. So I couldn't tell you exactly what the flavor profile is without it being completely tainted by the tea. But no off flavors. So that's good. Like, it made me mad how they ruined Okada in Impact. Yeah, I wasn't. I stopped watching Impact years ago. I watched it in the really early days. I watched them. I probably stopped watching them before they left Spike TV. That's how long ago that I watched Impact. So what's that? Probably like 2004 or 5, something like that. Interesting. I've enjoyed a few Gurkha cigars. Yeah, Gurkha does have a ton of them. So Gurkha kind of gets a bum rap. I think a lot of people hate him for whatever reason. I've had like one Gurkha that I really didn't like, and then I had a few that are meh, and then I've had some that are excellent. So, does smoking cause any damage to your mic? I don't know. I haven't noticed any yet, but really I don't. When I'm live with you guys is the only time I'm smoking near my microphone. My mic is usually way off to the side, so it's not like I'm smoking right into it. This microphone's not really that old anyways, and I don't smoke like a chimney in my office anyways. So I don't really have any smoke damage in any of my stuff in my office. I might smoke one pipe a day at most, or maybe a cigar. For the most part, I have no I have no soft surfaces in my office, so nothing really like sticks around either. I mean, I got monitors in front of me, and they're all multiple years old, and there's really no signs of smoke damage or anything. I got my computer over here, really no smoke damage. So Gurkha, you said Gurkha beat, but I'm guessing you mean beast. I have some. I have not smoked one yet. The Gurkha Vintage Shaggy Foot is excellent. When they're on closeout, I bought like 80 of them because there's a closeout on like 5-packs. They had like five packs for like $27, so I bought like a lot of them. So I have a ton of those still, and they were already like 8-year aged before they even got to me. So now the tobacco is like 12 plus years old, because I bought most of them in like 2015. So I have a lot of Gurkha Vintage Shaggies. Can you grow your own tea leaf? You can. Where I live, not so much. It gets too cold where I live. I think it's zone 6B or 7 is the coldest you can go with tea outside. It's a very unique climate that tea tends to grow in. It doesn't like super hard freezes. It will take a hard freeze, but it can't take as many hours of hard freeze as I have where I live. So, yeah, can't grow it where I live. You can grow it in greenhouse, but you're gonna need a lot of room to grow enough tea to keep you in tea for a year or whatever, because you're not going to be able to get a ton of finished tea. So if I could grow it outside, sure, I'd probably grow some. But I live too far north and it gets too cold and stays cold for too long for it to survive. And I'm not even sure if it'd survive even some of the summers. The summers get really hot, and kind of where they grow in a very interesting climate in China for the most part. It doesn't get super when it gets hot, it's usually super humid. So like the highs in the areas are somewhere around 90-ish degrees Fahrenheit. And the humidity is ridiculous, like 90+%. And then in the winter, it only gets down to like, 40-ish. So rarely, it doesn't really freeze very often where tea is native to. So it just will not take the freeze. And I'm not sure if it would take super harsh summers, like pushing up towards 100 or whatnot. Thoughts on hot chocolate as we get colder? Has too many carbs. Tea has 0 calories, so I tend to stick with that. Because, yes, I know I am a little on the hefty side, and I don't need any more sugar. I like hot chocolate. If I have to go clear the driveway or something, then sure, hot chocolate sounds good. But for the most part, it's pretty much tea for me all the way. Cheers. Love. Tim is here. Oh, Tim just joined the Discord. I just got a message that Tim joined the Discord. Don't you hike like 12 miles a day? No, not normally like 12 miles a day. Like I'll go out for like 4 miles because I can do that during my lunch break. I live like 2 houses down from where I live turns to a dirt road, and then off of there are old roads that are no longer used. So I can actually make a 4.3 mile loop through the woods, and I can stay off the road. So that's nice. But no, 12 miles is not a normal day. 12 miles is more like a weekend type day. And especially now that it's getting cold and it's dark by 4 o'clock here. It's a little more difficult to get in much more miles. I did 4.3 miles today during my lunch break. But it was like 28 degrees outside today. So it was a little chilly. And luckily, it's not too wet where I go, so I didn't get like wet feet or anything, but it can get wet where I go. Yeah, this Gurkha rare breed blend is pretty good. I like it. Like I said, I can't really give you a accurate flavor profile because I'm drinking the tea with it, but I'm not noticing anything harsh. And I didn't start drinking the tea until after I had a few puffs of this, but yeah, pretty good. I definitely give it a shot if you like the components that are in it. Virginia burley, Perique, Latakia, and some Turkish. So it's basically like an English blend, but then you add the burley and the Perique in there. I am running out of whole leaf tobacco for my cigars that I roll, so I'm going to need to get some of that sometime soon and roll some more cigars because I am almost out of that. Are there tea or tobacco companies local to you that you could work for? Not local to me, no. Tea, definitely not. And then there are some smaller, there's a couple of distributors for cigars, but they're about an hour and 20 minutes from me, to like their headquarters. And then there's another one that's about an hour and a half from me. But that'd just be like warehouse type of gigs and not really anything huge like that. I mean, it'd be great if I could get in with somebody to blend some cigars, because I do roll my own right now, so I kind of do my own blending. It'd be super cool if I could get a line of cigars, but I just don't have the the time to invest in that type of thing without having somebody else, without backing off of somebody else's production license, manufacturing license. I've looked into it, and just the amount of regulation and taxes and all types of crap I would have to put up with. I would have to roll personally a ton of cigars and sell a ton of them just to break even each year. Like, I'd have to sell something like $28,000 worth of cigars just to break even, to cover regulatory and additional accounting costs and all that stuff, because you are dealing with basically a controlled product at that point, and it is just not worth it to get like the manufacturing license. And so basically, one of the things you have to get a manufacturing license. You have to update it like every year. You have to renew it every year, and it's like $5,000 or something stupid. And then you have to do all this tracking of raw goods, as well as tracking of where all your finished product goes, and it's just like so much of a headache. That you'd have to sell somewhere like $28,000 worth to just cover expenses. So unfortunately, I'd have to back off of somebody else's manufacturing license and do the blending, and then have them either roll it in like South and Central America or whatnot, to make it worth it to even do that type of thing, because obviously the labor in the US would be way too expensive to roll cigars for the most part, unless you're selling really high-end stuff, or just selling it really expensive. And obviously you can only go so expensive for a boutique cigar. And I don't know about I didn't even look into the state crap. That's just the federal crap you have to deal with. I didn't even look into like the state regulations and stuff. My state probably isn't that bad comparatively, but it's probably not as friendly as, say, Florida, as far as I know. I mean, I'd have to find somebody that like a local cigar roller and talk to them about all the crap that they have to do, but I don't know anybody. I don't know if there might be some loopholes that I don't know about, or some exemptions I don't know about. Don't forget, if you want to do a book, I know a guy. Yeah, I know a publishing guy as well. But yeah, if I did a book, I'd let you know. Like I said, so I have an idea. So basically, what I wanted to do is do a crime story, and then basically make it into a podcast. So make the podcast like any other true crime podcast, but it would be fictional. So you'd make it sound like it was real. So it'd be basically a faux true crime podcast. So you'd have like actors and different recording locations and whatnot to make different pieces of audio content. So you can have you can fake court audio, and then fake maybe like interview audio and like undercover audio and all that fun stuff, and then have like a narrator to pull it all together. That was kind of my idea. So I figured, well, if I did something like that, you'd have to write it out. It'd probably be quite a lot, because if you're talking about maybe doing like 10, 40-ish minute episodes, all right, you're talking about 10 times 40 minutes. You're looking at 400 minutes of content, which is roughly going to come out to about 400 pages of dialogue. So you're talking about, you have to come up with a relatively big book of about 500 to 600 pages worth of content if you wrote it in like a narrative, and then break that out into a a dialogue heavy podcast or something like that. I think that would be really cool to do, like a fictional podcast, because obviously it's cheaper than doing a movie or doing a miniseries. Something like True Detective on HBO, but make that into like a podcast version. Make a podcast version of it, something like that. And I have some hookups in that area. I know a couple producers on some pretty big. I know a producer on a couple of very big podcasts, some very big true crime podcasts that are with. Oh, what are they on? I don't remember what. There's like Podcast One and Wondery, and all of them, but they're on one of those big networks that I know. I know one of the producers. Actually, is my like stepsister-in-law is a producer, so at least I got a hookup if I ever actually got around to doing it. See, anything else going on out there? It's getting a bit late. Don't know what else you guys want to talk about. Viewership's been dwindling as the time goes on. We were up to 12 people at one point. But now it's late and people aren't. It's already 10:30 on the East Coast. So. Yeah, I'll probably wrap this up soon. Music. What about music? Like, what music do I listen to? Mostly hard rock. Yeah, it's mostly hard rock. Metalcore, stuff like that. Breaking Benjamin, I'm a big fan. That's probably my favorite band at the moment. I've been listening to the new Saint Asonia, which is the singer who left 3 Days Grace. It's also the guitarist and drummer from Stained. So they're like kind of a super group. Their new album is really good. Totally spacing on the name of it. Flawed Design is the name of it, from Saint Asonia. That's really good. There's also a new band that I started listening to. It's kind of like a mix between it's like a harder rock version of, say, like Paramore is the best I can describe it. They're called Dream State. Pretty good. Have I heard the Little V Mills cover of Kenny Omega's theme? Yeah, I did. It was pretty awesome. Who else have I been listening to lately? The new Tool album is obviously really good. Big fan of it. Alter Bridge has a brand new album that just came out like 2 weeks ago. That's also good. 311's album from this year is excellent. Starset's new album that came out in September is awesome. I'm a huge fan of Starset. All three of their albums are really good. Who else had new albums this year? All That Remains had a new album this year. Unfortunately, their guitar player died, but they have picked up a new one. I don't know what else I am looking for this year. Devin Townsend put out a new album this year that was really good. Bullet for My Valentine last year. Also last year, Coheed and Cambria's album Unheavenly Creatures was really good. Big fan of Coheed and Cambria. I wasn't a big fan of their album before this one because it was the first one outside of the storyline. So it was their first like non-concept album. I just wasn't feeling it. I don't think it had anything with them not staying as a concept album, but I just wasn't a huge fan of the songs on that album. But yeah, what else have I been listening to lately? I went back and listened to some old Jimmy Eat World, Bleed American. I just listened to that album a couple days ago for the first time in like 6-7 years. Still a good album. Still love it. While She Sleeps, their album You Are We is really good. And Asking Alexandria's last album was pretty good too. Big fan of that. Who else was I listening to? Just trying to go down through my list of most recently acquired music. Breaking Benjamin had a new album last year. That was good. I saw them a couple years ago with Alter Bridge and Disturbed. That was a sweet show. Who else? New Year's Day came out with a new album this year, but I wasn't as big of a fan as their previous album. It's worth a listen, but I thought their album before that was much better. But I'm spacing. Malevolence was the album that came out in 2015. So New Year's Day, Malevolence is a good album if you like female-fronted hard rock bands. Have I listened to the Doom 2016 soundtrack? No, I haven't. Did Trent Reznor do it again? Because I know he did Quake. It's Quake 1, right? The first Quake? Or Quake 2 that Trent Reznor did the music for. But no, I haven't listened to it. I was never really a Nine Inch Nails fan. Though if you're talking somebody else did the Doom 2016 music, I don't know. But yeah, mostly hard rock is what I listen to. Everybody's like, oh, your tastes are going to soften as you get older. And actually, as I've gotten older, I listen to harder music than I did. But yeah. So like now I listen to like metalcore and stuff like that. Which I didn't listen to in like high school. I do not know who Mick Gordon is. Is he just like a regular composer or anything? Is he in any like major bands, or he just does music for video games? The first 2 seasons of Killer Instinct. Was there a show of Killer Instinct? I know the video game. Was there actually like a TV show of Killer Instinct? I have a little bit of excess moisture in there. I'll have to get a pipe cleaner for that. No, as far as I know, he just does video games. I don't really play any AAA titles. Most of the games I play are going to be indie or kind of smaller studio stuff. And I don't tend to play like first-person shooters in general anyways. No new game had characters released by seasons. Got it. Okay. No, yeah, like I said, I don't play really any like major AAA titles. Um, for the most part, like it's going to be a lot of indie games. I like I like side scrollers. I like anything that I can use a gamepad with. So stuff that you end up using the keyboard and mouse with, I tend not to play. And first-person shooters just do not work well with gamepads. They're not nearly as accurate as when you're using a mouse. So what have I played recently? Ori and the Blind Forest, excellent game. Hollow Knight, huge fan of it. It was really good. Sequels for both of those games are coming out soon, hopefully. Ori and Hollow Knight should have sequels coming out. I'm hoping by the end of 2020. That'd be nice. What else have I played recently? They Bleed Pixels. Wait, do you have an arcade stick? No, I have the 8-bit Do SNES clone. 8-bit Do SNES. So the 8-bit Do SNES 30 is probably like the greatest game controller out there. It feels exactly like a SNES controller. The button throw is exactly the same, but they have added an extra shoulder button, so there are 2 shoulder buttons. So you got that. So you got all the buttons you need, and it also has joysticks on it as well. So it's not the SN30. It's one of the other ones that they have, because it actually does have joysticks. But yeah, it is sweet, and the button throw is super short. So actually, let me see if I have it. Hold on. I have it in my thing here. Oh, here it is. So yeah, this is the 8-bit Do SN30 Pro. It is awesome. It feels exactly like an SNES controller in the hand, so it's excellent for side scrollers and stuff like that. The buttons are exactly the same as the SNES. The top ones are concave, while the AB are convex, just like the SNES was. Then you have the 2 shoulder buttons. It is slightly thicker than the SNES controller because it does have obviously more electronics, but it does have the analog sticks. But the D-pad exactly the same. It feels exactly the same. So yeah, I love this controller so much. I hate like the N64 control, not the N64, the Xbox controllers, because the button throw is just so far from how far you have to push it. And this is exactly like the SNES. It is probably maybe 1.5 millimeters of button throw, and it has like super low resistance, but it has that nice click. You've pushed the button, and the D-pad exactly the same. You can feel the break where you are, pushing the D-pad. So it is excellent, and it does have obviously the 2 shoulder buttons. It doesn't. They're both digital. So if you need something, if you're doing like a racing game or something, it's not going to work very well because they're not analog. But if you're going to be doing a racing game, you don't really need this type of controller anyways, because you need the analog sticks and then the triggers, and that's not a big deal. As long it's the ABXY that are the buttons that I hate on most other controllers. SNES was pretty much a perfect controller setup, especially once they add the analog sticks. So that was definitely worth the purchase, and it has given me a lot of life out of it. And another good game, Expendabros. No, sorry. Expendabros was like a quick Broforce. Broforce is a super, super fun game. The entire it's basically like a Contra style game, but the entire environment is destructible. So you can pretty much destroy the entire map if you wanted to. So it can be a problem sometimes because you can destroy so much of the map that you can't get to the end of the map if you aren't careful. My favorite game, oh man, of all time, Super Mario World is going to be my favorite game of all time. So Super Mario World, and then I'd probably put Donkey Kong Country 1 after that. Those are probably my two favorite games of all time. But then, of course, you have, classic games, Contra, Diablo 2. Love that game. Current games, Ori and the Blind Forest is probably my favorite game put out in the past few years. That is it's pretty much the perfect game. I'm a big fan of that game, and like I said, looking forward to the sequel to come out. Same with Hollow Knight. Very similar to Ori and the Blind Forest. It's a Metrovania, so I like the Metrovania games. Metal Slug, I have not played it. I also like the classic. I don't know what you'd even call them. The puzzle games like Monkey Island. Monkey Island 2. Huge fan of Monkey Island 2. I remember playing it as a kid, and I still love it. I love the re-releases of them, like the remastered versions of all the Monkey Island games. Those games are just hilarious. And anything using the Scum engine, those games are great. So you had Maniac Mansion, Day of the Tentacle, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. What else was there? Then you had Monkey Island 2. And then I think they moved off the Scrum engine for Monkey Island 3. Monkey Island 3 might have still been the Scrum engine. But then Monkey Island 4 was really, really funny. Point and click adventure games. That's what they are. But yeah, I love those games. You don't really see them too often now, and I wish they would make new ones. But yeah, again, I'm still a huge fan of side scrollers. So recently, obviously, you have Super Meat Boy, fun game, very, very hard game. But yeah. So I mean, that's kind of what I play for the most part, is going to be side scrollers and kind of the point and click stuff. Yeah, not too much 3D stuff. I would play racing games if I had a legit racing setup, but I haven't played one for quite a while. I like turn-based RPGs. But in recent years, there haven't. Well, Divinity: Original Sin, excellent game. That is a very, very fun game because it is, it's turn-based combat because it's D&D based, and it's actually true turn-based, which is great. I remember when like Final Fantasy started having like time, like it wasn't completely turn-based. It was turn-based, but if you're too slow. Like it didn't actually wait for your turn to be completed before moving on because there's like timers and stuff. So if you're slow, then the enemies could attack. But Divinity, Original Sin 1 and 2, excellent games because they are pure time based. I think I got disconnected there for a minute. Sorry about that. Don't know what happened. I didn't have a system glitch or anything. Just OBS decided to disconnect on me. But I'm back. Really, I was going to wrap it up soon anyways. So I don't know if you're... What's up, Noah? Can't tell you anything about the Gurkha beyond that. There's nothing bad or off-putting about it. How's that? Nothing bad or off-putting. I've been drinking tea, so I can't give you like a true flavor profile on it because the tea is obviously going to interfere with it. But it burns fine, but obviously since I'm talking too much, it keeps going out on me. I was at the lab watching Whose Line Is It Anyways? New Whose Line? Like the one that's isn't Aisha Taylor Aisha Taylor, right? Or I'm totally thinking about the wrong person. Anything else to talk about before I wrap up here? I'm pretty much at the end of my night. It's almost 11 o'clock. I should probably go to sleep soon. No, you're watching the old ones? Wearing my Rick and Morty shirt. New Rick and Morty starts on the 10th. So, looking forward to the new episode. What's that, Sunday night? I'm sure YouTube will demonetize this stream. I tend to not like my streams. I wouldn't want to be the one who have to review the entire, hour and a half or whatever. Probably going to go on a nature walk tomorrow and smoke my pipe. Yep. I don't know what the weather's supposed to be like here tomorrow, but I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. I think we're going to go up because we live so far away from everything. So we'll probably go to Lebanon and go to the fish store there because I need something for our fish tank. Because we are running high on nitrates, so I need to get some no-prox, or no-pox. So I think I'm going to have to drive like an hour and a half each way to go to the fish store to take care of my my reef tank. Do I eat fish? Yes, I eat fish. I don't eat the fish in my fish tank. Mostly tuna and salmon are pretty much mostly what I eat. We have a really, really good fish market here. They get fresh fish from the coast on Mondays. So Mondays and Fridays they go to the coast and bring back fresh fish. So I can get really fresh Atlantic salmon, tuna, haddock, lobster if I want it. I'm not a fan of lobster, but I could get it if I want. My wife likes lobster, so she'll get scallops there quite a lot too. But they have like sushi grade tuna there quite often. Hard to find fresh fish. Yeah, I know. God, when I lived in Ohio, man, it was impossible to get some stuff. Though I did live in Columbus, so there were plenty of places that got fresh fish pretty quickly or had it flown in and whatnot. Of course, it was expensive. Fresh tuna was what, like $30 a pound or something crazy like that. It's like $15 a pound here. But yeah, like we even went to Whole Foods once because we were looking for haddock. Apparently, people in Ohio don't know what haddock is, and nobody eats it. So they're like, if we get it in, nobody's gonna buy it. So. I've been applying to jobs after I graduate. Got one possible prospect soon at a news station. Nice. What'd you go to school for? Jungle Gyms in Cincinnati. Yeah, we only went there once because we lived in Columbus, and it's like a 2 hour and 20 minute drive or something from where we live to Jungle Gyms. So we didn't go. We just went once. Place is pretty cool though. Meteorology. Okay, because news station. I'm thinking to go for like journalism or broadcasting or something. Meteorology. Got it. Cleveland isn't too hard for fish, but I wouldn't eat their fish. Yeah, when there's a fish market in Columbus. Well, actually, it's an Asian market, but they're also attached to a sushi restaurant as well. It's called Tensuki. Over on Old Henderson Road. That is normally where I go to get fresh fish for sushi, and I actually get sushi there when I'm in town. I was in Columbus a couple weeks ago, and I ate Tensuki a couple times. It's nice when it's on your company's dime and you don't have to pay for your own sushi and spend a ton of money. Technically, I'm not a broadcast meteorologist, but it's a new market. They're starting and they need someone after December. Well, that should be fun. As long as you can get the green screen down by, looking at a monitor off screen to know where you are on the screen. That's always fun. Live green screen is a joy. I kind of need to get a green screen so I can have a nicer background than this, without having to like move my camera and stuff. Because like I have my computer, which is what I'm looking at right now. So I have my computer. The wall is probably about 2 feet behind my desk. So there's a gap where I have my camera right here, but I want to be able to put this camera on like a little tripod on my desk so I can push my thing back. But it'd be nice to have like a green screen so I can actually put, something nicer. So I don't have to constantly rearrange my office to do videos and whatnot. So that'd be kind of nice. Cause then for like my wrestling channel, then I could do, news updates really fast. Have I done a recent tour of my office? I don't think I have. Nothing's changed too much since the last time I showed it though. Yeah, nothing's really changed at all. Just right now I'm kind of like have it set up that the set that you normally see with the tobacco and everything is still over to this side. It's still basically in the same place. It's moved maybe about a couple feet. But just having to like move lights around, this office looks bigger than it really is. But I mean, I have these huge studio lights that, I have here. So I have 3. I have 2 that are facing me right now. And then I have this, you can see like the background's being lit up. It's actually laying on the floor, shooting up against the wall. If I didn't have that one, it would look really dark. As actually, you can see kind of over here, it's looking kind of dark because I'm pretty far away from this wall. Usually I shoot way closer to the wall and it looks a little better. But it'd be nice if I just had like a green screen behind me and then I could put whatever I want behind me and I wouldn't have to deal with having to rearrange every time I want to do a video and move all these lights around, which is kind of a really big pain in the butt of making videos anyway. So I need kind of like a permanent setup that allows me to shoot videos without having to move stuff around or taking up a ton of space. So right now I have soft boxes. I would like to at some point get LED panels because they're thinner, but they still give the diffused light. And that way I can push my desk back, and then just like attach the light panels on the edge of the desk. So they're not taking up any floor space. Like just take them off the stand that they're on, so the stand isn't actually hitting the ground. It's actually attached to the desk or whatever. So I can still have the lights, and then I could do my videos and have whatever I want behind me, green screen or whatever. But that's an expense that I don't have the cash for right now. I'll have to make just a short video on this channel, just letting people know. I'm sure there's a few people out there who like wrestling that can come over to my new channel. Right now I got a whopping 3 subscribers on it, though I get some video plays. I think I get about 10 to 15 video plays. I also get about 30 downloads on the podcast. So, I just started it. I haven't really been doing a ton of promotion or anything like that. So I could probably leverage the 7,500 subscribers I have on Tea and Tobacco to at least, let them know, hey, this is what I've been up to. So I probably do need to make a video for that. But again, I'm still looking for like a co-host or co-hosts, multiple, to help me out with the show, just to get, a little bit of banter. I think it might get a little boring just hearing me talk about stuff. Yeah, I can ramble for a while, but I don't know how super interesting it is when there's no one else to feed off of. So, like doing these, I can watch the chat, and as long as the chat is active, I can continue on and keep talking about stuff. If people have, if people give some sort of, cue, I guess is the best way to put it. A mental cue to our topic to pick up on. But as far as like the wrestling goes right now, nobody's on the live stream. So I'm just going off my notes, and I'm trying to be as dynamic as possible, but it is difficult when you have nobody else to feed off of. I'm just not good at talking to myself. So yeah, you kind of have to do the back and forth. I mean, Jason Solomon, Solomonster Sounds Off, he's really good by himself. He's also been doing it for 12 years, and I haven't gone back and listened to like his really, really early episodes, so I don't know, how he was back then. But he's also in PR. I think his day job is in PR. So I think he kind of already has a bit of that background of public speaking or any radio and stuff like that. Talking to nobody. So, but like Solid Monster does good, but all the other good shows, usually they have at least a second person. So, Wade Keller, all his shows are really good. I listen to Wrestling Observer as well, and it's usually Brian Alvarez or somebody else with Meltzer, or Brian Alvarez with somebody else. So, I mean, pretty much all those shows are not hosted alone. Jim Valley does a good job on the weekends. He's usually by himself on Saturdays, but he's really good. But yeah, for the most part, almost every other show has at least a second person, sometimes a third. So I would like to pick somebody up, and, unfortunately, a friend of mine who was going to be a co-host has suffered a medical issue, and he just can't make it right now, unfortunately. Not like anything like he's gonna die or anything like that. He just let's see, I don't think he'd really care if I said it. He had a concussion, and he has a bit of brain fog, so he has trouble concentrating for long periods of time. So he can't exactly watch a 2-hour wrestling show and remember it and recite everything back from, for the next hour and a half or whatever. Or same with like New Japan, when you got, 4 shows to watch in the course of a week. So that's unfortunate. Hopefully he's getting better, but I don't think he's going to be available for at least a few more months, if not longer. So I would like to find a co-host or a rolling set of them. So if I just need one for New Japan and one for AEW, that'd be great. If there's 3 people who want to rotate in and out for AEW or New Japan, that'd be great too. Yeah, it makes it difficult to commentate on wrestling, sadly. Yes. He used to do a wrestling podcast, but he gave up on it a while back. He wasn't doing it very regularly anyway. So, and it was when WWE was totally going to crap about 2 years ago. So he was just really just disenfranchised at that point. And then, of course, we had both started watching New Japan. We both watched the entire G1 of 2017. And then once AEW started up, I'm like, all right, I might as well do the podcast. Because I wanted to do a podcast, but it's like I cannot watch WWE every week. And just doing New Japan isn't going to work for a mostly English-speaking audience because they're not all watching New Japan. But then once AEW came around, it's on TNT, it's national. It's obviously not as big as WWE, but it's at least a bigger promotion. When has it not been going to crap since 2005? Yeah, I think it was okay for like the first year. So I stopped watching in like 2005 or so is when I stopped watching wrestling in general. And then I came back when I heard AJ Styles had come to WWE. So I started checking it out again. I lasted about a year and a half at that point. Whenever Blood Money in the Sand 2 was, that's when I canceled my subscription. But that was after Omega Okada won. So that's when I started watching New Japan. Is right before Omega Okada 2 at Dominion that year. That is when I started watching New Japan religiously. So that was May of 2017 is when I started watching New Japan religiously. Yeah, AJ showing up at the Royal Rumble was insane. That was one of the craziest debuts. Obviously, I heard about it after the fact because I wasn't watching, but then I went back and watched his debut at the Royal Rumble, and that was insane. I was hoping at that point, if it's like, oh, they're bringing in guys like AJ Styles, hell yeah, I'm going to go watch. And then, unfortunately, AJ Styles had some of the best matches that have been in WWE main roster, especially like the trio he had with Cena. Those were all pretty good. But still, the rest of the matches were not that great. When it was freaking AJ Shinsuke, I don't know how they didn't have like one of the greatest matches in WWE history. I mean, what? How does that happen when you have AJ Shinsuke and that isn't the best match on the card? That should have been like a 5-star classic, no problem. But WWE just books the crap out of him, micromanages everything, and I don't know if Shinsuke just can't do it anymore or he didn't want to do it, but I mean, Shinsuke AJ should have been a no-brainer, and it just went to hell. But then I watched AJ Shinsuke was garbage. Yeah, that was pretty bad. And then I don't know why they couldn't have just booked a normal face versus face match. There's no reason Shinsuke had to turn heel at that point, but WWE has taken the personality out of everybody, so it doesn't surprise me. Have you seen Dasha on AEW Dark? Dasha had no personality in WWE as the backstage interviewer or anything. Now she's a co-host on AEW Dark. She's also doing the Spanish commentary. She has boatloads of personality and charisma. I love her on AEW Dark. She seems so happy to be there. And it's where was this person in WWE? So, yeah, I mean, you just look how they just take everything out. Then they had an AJ Finn match that was good, but it had no story. Yep, you had that as well. And then you look down at NXT, and you have the Gargano Ciampa storyline that went on for a year and a half, and those were some of the greatest matches I have ever seen. But if they were up in the main roster, that story never would have been told, and those matches never would have happened. They would happen, but they would be given like 6 minutes, and they'd be told to do some schmoz finish that nobody gave a crap about. So it's like, yeah. Like, it's a really a bummer that there's all this talent that is just being completely wasted over there, because they are just picking up people so so no one else can have them, basically. And then they're just like destroying everything. So, I would love to see, like, who I'd like to see jump ship and go to AEW would definitely be a Finn Balor, Adam Cole, definitely want over there, and then Ciampa and Gargano. I definitely want an AEW, because they would just be freaking awesome. I would love if AJ went over, but unfortunately he just signed a 5-year contract. He's going to close out his career in WWE. Orton teasing to going to AEW was pretty interesting, but he just signed a 5-year contract too. So, I mean, he's 39 now. He's going to be 44 when that contract is up. I don't see him. I mean, it would have been awesome if he went to AEW for like a year. I think it could have been pretty crazy. But of course, I'm sure they offered him a lot of money. They're probably paying him like $3 million a year, and AEW definitely is not going to pay him anything near that. Even though Jericho said that AEW, the contract he got with AEW was higher paying than WWE, than he's ever gotten from WWE. So I guess you never know. Prince Devitt versus Darby Allin would be one heck of a match. That'd be sweet. I mean, I would love to see Devitt against Omega. Of course, I'd want to see that. I'd even want to see Devitt versus Cody. Who else would I want to see him against? Devitt versus Hangman. Hangman Page is actually shorter than I always think he is. He looks tall when he's by himself, just how he's built. But then when he's standing next to a guy like Omega and Jericho, you realize he's the exact same height as them. Did I see Jericho's promo on Wednesday? Yeah, I saw the whole show. I have a review of it, obviously. But, oh my God, Jericho's promo on Wednesday was like the best video package I had ever seen. And it's not even close. I'm pretty sure that is the best wrestling video package I've ever seen. They got Virgil as what was he listed as? Soulman Jones, I think they had him listed as, and then they had some lady who was just subtitled as Chris's aunt's friend from church, and she says, "Ever since he was a little boy, I knew he'd grow up to be AEW champion." It's like AEW has only existed for like 10 months. Do you think YouTube will ever grow some balls and chill out on the whole to back? No, because it's Google. It's Google AdWords or Google AdSense, whatever it's called now. So Google's advertising platform is what has the rule. So basically how it works, it's not even really the money that's the problem. So giving some background, my how to smoke a pipe video is basically is like the highest ranked one that comes up when you search that topic. It's either like 1 or 2, maybe even 3 at sometimes, but it's really high up there. I used to get throughout the day, there's impressions, which is how many times does your video show up either in search results or show up in like suggested videos. So on average, my channel would be my channel's videos would be suggested about 20,000 times a day, and then the day that they decided to demonetize a bunch of my videos, including my most popular one, which is how to smoke a pipe, it went from 12,000 suggestions a day, or people would see my video in some form of being either suggested as a search result or as a suggested video on somebody else's video, from 20,000 down to 5 immediately on that one day. Because since YouTube wants to make money, if they can't monetize, if they've restricted your video as far as monetization goes, that's not suitable for all advertisers, they're not going to put it up as a suggested video because they won't make any money, because the commercials, if they're promoting videos that they can't show a commercial on, then they're not going to be making any money. So that is another problem. So that is why, like, my views have tanked because of that. Because monetization, not only does it get you some money, it wasn't a lot of money. Like, I think the most I made was maybe like $80 in a month. So I mean, that's nice because it covers my expenses, because I was buying tobaccos that I wasn't gonna smoke the whole tin. I was gonna smoke it to review for you guys, and then I probably never smoke it again. So I was buying stuff that I personally wouldn't have bought if I wasn't doing this channel. So it was nice to have, that covered. So, I mean, that really covers what, like $80 covers like, 6 tins of tobacco. So that's like an entire month worth of reviews if I do like one a week or whatever. But the problem is that once you are demonetized, not only that, then you are no longer pushed as well. So any video that isn't suitable for all advertisers doesn't get nearly the exposure. I still come up in search results if you're searching for something specific, but again, it's not gonna be on suggested. If you're watching somebody else's video, my videos are not going to show up in suggested nearly as much. So like I said, it went from 20,000 times being suggested every single day down to like 5,000. So basically my views dropped the same amount. So it's a 75% drop of impressions. It led to a 75% drop in views, which also meant more than a 75% drop in ad revenue, because they weren't showing nearly as many ads on my videos that they used to. Yeah, under AdSense, anything tobacco related gets hit as a not suitable for all advertisers. So it's not completely demonetized. So there's 3 levels. There's suitable for all advertisers. Then there's not suitable for all advertisers, and then there's not suitable for advertisers. So there's 3 levels. So pretty much all my videos, they're still monetized a little bit. So there are some advertisers that, they're specifically targeting 18 plus. There's also, which I did find, which did help out just a little bit. So for anybody who's watching that does have a tobacco related channel, if you go into AdSense, it's not on as a default, but somewhere in there you can select what type of ads that you'd like to see. And there's one section that is alcohol related products. It's defaulted as off. So if you turn it on, you can at least get a little bit, because obviously alcohol related products are going to be 21 plus. So they don't mind advertising on tobacco related channels. So it does help a little bit. So I think I made like $35 last month, which is still obviously way down from 80. And if they didn't demonetize me, I'd probably be somewhere around, I'd probably be making like 150, maybe even 200 at this point. But they demonetized me back in February, March or whatever. But yeah, so it's really Google AdSense. That is the problem. The thing that sucks, YouTube is owned by Google, which you can't use any other advertising through YouTube, because there are other ad providers. So like if I had a website or something, there are other ad providers that do allow tobacco related content. So like if you go to, Cigar Aficionado, there are ads on there that are being served up by somebody that are allowed on tobacco related products. But I mean, the thing that sucks is like tobacco related, I don't know why tobacco related products is globally unacceptable, because I think it would be to the person who's doing the advertising if they are okay with tobacco related videos or not. Because a lot of them are going to be. I mean, just look in Cigar Aficionado of what is being advertised. I mean, 60 to 70% of the pages in Cigar Aficionado is advertisements. But you look at high-end watches, high-end cars, all this types of luxury stuff. You figure, cigar videos, that is their market that they're going to, because it's a luxury item. So you figure these higher end brands would be like, yeah, put my advertisements on, cigar videos, because that is my target audience, because usually those are the people with a little bit more disposable income. So they're going to be, the nice watches, of course, the alcohol ads, like I was just talking about. So the higher end alcohols. But yeah, as you can see, my battery is about to die on my camera, so I should probably wrap this up soon. I need to get a plug in for. I'm using my Canon T5i, so I'm using a DSLR, which is why it actually looks nice comparatively to like a crappy webcam or whatever. But yeah, even if it dies, the audio will still stay because the audio is coming through here, not my camera. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up soon. But really, that is the biggest thing for YouTube is once you're demonetized, your videos are no longer pushed. So my channel would be so much bigger than it is now because I don't get nearly as much exposure as I used to. So it's just like, it's not the money that's the problem. I don't really care about the money that much. But it's really the exposure has dropped to next to nothing, and that's what's really what's the word I'm looking for? Demoralizing. So that's why I started the wrestling channel, because I know at least they're not going to ping me on that one. At least they shouldn't. But obviously I need to grow it, and that would be why I'd like to have a green screen so I can make news updates. Just short, like 5-minute videos or whatever. So I can pound those out pretty quickly. But this background is not doing it. I need something a little bit better. Money is nice though. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I was making roughly about $80 a month, which covers the expenses of the stuff that I buy to do this channel. I mean, the lights, I've spent, a couple $100 on lights. I have, my nice camera. I have, this nice microphone, but this is for something else. But, I spend a lot of money on this channel, and it'd be nice to at least recoup my expenses. But it is what it is. All right. Well, my battery is going to die. I can also hear an alarm going off on my fish tank in the background. So I need to go check that. I think it's just the auto top off did not. I think the auto top off might be empty. So I gotta go put some water into that. But thanks for everyone who did stick around with me this evening. If you are a wrestling fan, go check out my other channel. It's called That's Wrestling. You can find it on YouTube. Super easy to find. Also, it is a podcast, so you can find it on all your podcast directories as well. If you can't find it on your podcast directory, shoot me an email so I can remedy that. Eric@thatswrestling.com. And if you need to get the RSS feed, it's over at thatswrestling.com as well. So thanks a lot for hanging out with me. Of course, I'm always on Discord. The link is down in the description of this video. And as you can see, I just lost camera. Not a big deal, but thanks for watching, everybody. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the Discord. See you later, guys.